today on the show, we're very fortunate to have 4 distinguished actors joining us from the Ashland Community Theater group, founded by Joe White and his partner, Katie Shander Reynolds. Did I say that right, Joe?
She's not here, she won't care.
So Joe White, sitting over there, is, as I said, one of the co-founders of Ashland Community Theater. ACT is now in its 3rd year and is presenting Plaza Suite, and they are in their 5th performance. Joe has written screens, acted in all 4 prior productions: Relationships A to Z, Daymares on Oak Street, Parents' Day, and Therapy Sessions. In addition, Joe has filmed 2 miniseries over the last year with his partner, Katie, which are The Interns and Therapy Sessions, the miniseries. Joe has thoroughly enjoyed the experiences, meeting new people and friends, and creating a family environment within ACT. Joe wants anyone interested in theater or film to contact him immediately and get involved right now. He's looking for talent. So as ACT continues to grow their family. And Joe would like to thank his wonderful wife, Laura, and his 3 children, Chris, Leah, and Alyssa, for their support and love for supporting him through theater and film.
Wow.
Jody Martin, who's playing Karen Nash on this on ACT's production of Plaza Suite. And this is the first time she's been in the Plaza, but the 5th time that she's been part of ACT's community on theater, on stage. Her favorite roles include Julie in Cindy and Julie, Clarion Payne in Coming Clean at the Fates Motel, is that right?
Yes.
That's interesting. And Jenny in the monologue, Conjugal Connections. Jody sends special thanks to her family and friends who have always supported her, and her sometimes impulsive endeavors. And she wants to say thanks to the Ashland Community Theater for giving her the chance to dip her foot into the thespian waters once again. So then we have Paul Gillespie. Did I say that correctly?
You did.
So Paul plays Sam Nash in the Plaza, and he was cast in 1974 at the age of 12 as a pickpocket in Oliver, and he kept acting and directing till 95, when career and raising young kids took center stage in his life. But then he returned in 2003 and makes his debut with ACT after performing with a variety of groups in the Boston area and outside Philadelphia. He's played quite a number of things, including Jake in Jake's Women with T-Can, Shelley Levin, Glennery Glenn Ross, Sam Central Park West, and the director, and accomplice with the Washington Street Players, including Man on Floor for the London Suite. Should I say it's the London Suite or just London Suite? London Suite. Paul has had the pleasure of directing California Suite, Dracula with the Washington Street Players, Proof with T-Can, and The Promise with Boston Playwrights Theater. Paul doffs his hat to director Chris Irath. Did I say that right, Chris?
No.
And all his new ACT friends for their warm welcome and wonderful support throughout the production. Performing in the Plaza Suite completes Paul's 3-place suite set for California, London, and now the Plaza. Paul is forever grateful to his muse, Susan, without whom he'd still be talking about getting back into theater someday. And finally, we come to our infamous actor and director duo, all in one person here, with Chris Irath. Arith. And he's director in Act 1, and he's an actor in Act 2 at the Plaza, for the Plaza Suite production. Chris has been on stage in one form or the other since the age of 6, and since that time has played roles ranging from Sherlock Holmes to second string eunuch. I just wanted to make sure I got that right. Chris has been seen most frequently with the T-Can Players in Natick, most recently as William Gillette in their record-breaking Games Afoot production, and can claim the distinction of being the only actor ever transported directly from that stage to the ER while being treated with a frozen burrito.
It's true.
That is an interview in itself.
Yes.
Off stage, Chris is an economist and basketball coach, and he thanks Kellyanne, Alexandra, and Juliet for their support. Whew.
All right, show's over. Thanks very much.
It's a problem. It's a problem to have so many talented people.
Or us.
It's a good problem.
They couldn't make it.
Yes.
All right, so Chris and Paul, first questions go into you. So being new to ACT, how does it differ from the other community theaters you've been involved with?
It's the only one that spells the art that we are involved in, so that's interesting. Very
That's a good
creative.
point.
That's profound.
Well,
Yeah.
and you're up.
Took me hours to figure that one out.
I would say one thing that differs is from some places, not all, is that there's a great collegial atmosphere. Some places I've worked, people can take themselves too seriously. And while everybody here is trying very hard to make sure we put a good product on the stage, we will also do things like one of the people sitting at this table presented me at last night's rehearsal with a dart gun. And I was able to shoot wayward actors during the course of the rehearsal, which that is very different than any group with which I worked before.
That's a very interesting example.
And fun.
And fun.
Those actors couldn't make it here. They're being treated with affection. To the hospital.
Those who shall not
But
be
they've signed the
named.
liability form,
Yes,
so
we're all
it's
good.
all good. It's all
No,
good.
no one sitting here.
So Jody, you've been in all 5 productions. Which one was your favorite and why?
Probably our first performance.
Which was?
The first one was Relationships A to Z.
Well, you're excluding this one from favorite consideration,
exactly.
right?
This one hasn't
So
been
favorite other than
favorite
this
so
one.
far.
It's a teaser. Now people have to come out and watch it.
Oh.
Exactly.
Right, so-
I have a feeling that will change once this comes out because I'm very excited to play the role of Karen. It's the largest role I've ever played in my life.
Is it the role or the people you work with?
Well,
There's a loaded
What was
question.
that? Load up the gun.
it's actually
think
both.
about that.
It's actually both. And part of what Chris said about the atmosphere with ACT is what actually keeps me coming back for more, against my better judgment.
Excellent. Joe,
Not sure I like how
I
that
don't know what that
sounds.
meant. I'm going to take that as a compliment because I don't know any better.
which is good. So Joe, why Plaza Suite?
Why not? Serious. No, I think the last 4 shows, the first 4 shows we've done mostly original material.
Great.
So it's given writers and directors and actors an opportunity to do that. As we start to grow, we're meeting more and more people, and they're suggesting, why don't you try a known entity? It's a lot less work
Right.
from the standpoint of you don't have to write everything, edit everything, change everything. It's a known entity, and we're going to, so we tried that. So we wanted to stay with our same kind of theme.
Mm-hmm.
In which, like each of our shows have had a theme, and this one kind of fit in nicely. It's 3 separate acts.
Mm-hmm.
The actors can work differently together, and it afforded us the opportunity to have 3 different directors to do the acts. And it's in the same theme because it's all taking place in room 719 in the Plaza Hotel in New York. So I think it fits in with our model, and we're giving it a shot. And Neil seems to have done pretty well for himself, so we'll give the guy a shot.
Very generous of you.
Yeah, well.
And so what would you, I was going to ask why the Plaza in terms of the model
Yep.
or the type of play, but then the better question to ask you is what is the model that you like and what is the theme around most of your plays that you
Well, we try to
write
pick a
and produce?
theme that we can have either writers create activity around. So like the first year we talked about relationships. It's a wide open theme, but it gave people an opportunity to write stories about their parents' relationship and conjugal connections and divorce and things like that. So it gave an opportunity. The second year we did Daymares on Oak Street, which was a theme of mostly like Hitchcock, Twilight Zone type stories, short little stories.
Coming
And
from the
then-
Fates Motel, that was a play on Psycho.
Yes.
It was a spoof on Psycho that we did.
Spoof on Psycho. We did
Yes,
some
that was
things
written
like
by a local
Julie
Ashland
Nardone,
resident.
yeah. And then in the spring we did Parents' Day, which is relationships about interactions with parents, because everyone absolutely gets along with their parents so well.
true.
There's really no drama or comedy in
Right.
that kind of a scenario. And then we did therapy sessions. It's all about therapists. So this fits in the model of what we're trying to do. It's a story about in a location, in an area of a hotel.
And there's a lot of comedy.
One
seem
would
to
hope.
like the comedy.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of comedy in this.
So would you say you have an audience that keeps coming back for more because they enjoy the comedy?
I think the attendance keeps growing, which is a good thing. I'm hoping to continue that. And I think the feedback is of all the skits that we've done, they enjoyed the comedy better. They leave them laughing.
Excellent. So Chris, tell us about how you're acting in one scene and directing the other. How's that working out for you?
It gives you an interesting perspective on the alternate roles. So there are times when if you're acting and the director interrupts you and says, no, I play that like you've just eaten a piece of bad sushi. That as an actor you might think, well, I had that perfectly nailed down the first time, what is this sushi angle? But sitting on the other side and going back and forth between the two, you get the impression that, okay, if I'm being asked to do something different, maybe it's not working, maybe it's just something that could work and we'll either go with it later or we won't. But it has been very interesting doing both simultaneously to get the different perspectives on the whole process.
So do you find do you find that you direct yourself like halfway through your scene? Because you're so used to directing others in the other scene, do you catch yourself and try to redo stuff before the director jumps in? And
That's where I got the bad sushi part, because I thought that would, we talk about anchovies in the first act, so we needed some
Right,
form
some
of
fish
seafood
reference.
in the second act. But sure, it happens. I mean, I think most actors do that, where as the process goes on, you're constantly thinking about what can I do to make this a more realistic performance. So I am as guilty of that as anyone.
And which one's easier for you? Do you prefer one over the other?
I'll answer the first question instead. I've acted more than I've directed, so that's probably easier at this point. So I'll leave it at that.
And we'll take it. Paul, so tell us about your Plaza trifecta.
Oh yeah, it kind of happened by accident, but it was a nice accident when Karen Neidhart called me about the opportunity, because I had started Washington Street Players along with a bunch of other people from Holliston about 20 or 21 years ago, and the first show I directed there when we founded the group was California Suite. And I've always liked Neil Simon. One of the first plays I directed in high school was Barefoot in the Park, Neil Simon, and then that went on, and then another group over in Hopkinton, Interstage Left, was doing London Suite. And I auditioned for it as the man on the floor is what the act is called, and it's a wonderful piece, and it was a lot of physical comedy. It's about a guy who's about 40 whose back goes out, and I literally spent the whole show on the floor in writhing in pain, which is a really fun thing. I felt like Kramer from Seinfeld with the physical comedy. And so this came up, and I was like, wow, there is a third one. In fact, this is the first one. Plaza Suite was the first one you wrote, and I think California Suite, and then London Suite.
Yeah.
And at first I thought, how many times can you? But he really can. He just keeps it alive. And so this is actually what's most challenging about this. It's almost become a period piece. I mean, I was 6 when this was set, which makes me very old. So in 1968, we're talking about costume changes and costume fashion differences and language. Like there's turns of a phrase that I have, like I have no idea what that means. Then I go straight to the barber or straight to the
Dry cleaners.
Dry cleaners is one thing.
The old Badger game.
And then there's another one, the old Badger game. All these sayings. I'm on Google. I'm looking this stuff up because it's a period piece.
From the antiquity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's challenging.
That's so interesting. So do you folks have, each of you, do you have favorite parts of the play, or favorite line?
I was talking about the part of the play where it gets very poignant, and my character, Sam Nash, is no longer, you don't hate him anymore, you just sort of suddenly feel very sorry for the situation he's in and the way his marriage is disintegrating before your very eyes. Don't want to tell you the line,
No?
but it's probably the best line for sure.
Well, that's good to
Not
know.
revealing the line.
Gotta come
So you got to come
Gotta
see the
see
show.
us, right.
see the show.
And-
June 23, 4, 5.
June
How many times did you
June
say that?
23, 24th, 25th.
Yes.
And where is it? Where is it going to be?
The Ashland Middle School Theater
Great.
in
And
Ashland, Massachusetts.
Where do we go to get tickets?
Go right online to ashlandcommunitytheater.com. There's a link right to the tickets. And if you can't make it, feel free to donate tickets so we can actually give them to some people in town.
Right.
Maybe some of the seniors, some of the less fortunate, they
Yeah.
can still come out. So even though you may not be able to make it those nights, they'll go out there and do the donate
It's
section.
for a good cause.
It's for a definite good cause.
So
yeah.
that leaves us with Chris. I didn't forget you.
Wow.
Favorite line?
I don't want to give any spoilers either, but the character I play in the second act.
You have a lot of lines. You can give us like one.
I don't want to give anything away, but when you first meet the character I'm playing in the second act, he appears to be motivated entirely by his libido, but towards the end of the show, he has a fairly poignant speech about the sad state of his personal life, which adds something of the reality to the character before we go back to the comedy for which Mr. Simon is so well known. So I would say it's that part because he, as Paul was saying, he becomes a little bit more of a real person at that stage than someone who's just trying to check out the bedroom of the Plaza Suite.
Good to know. Wow, that sounds interesting. So how hard was it for each of you to become these people, to become these characters? Are any of you into method acting? Do you like try to play your character full time in real life?
Oh, no.
So you stay in the role?
Well,
I would get arrested if I tried to play my character all the time. So absolutely not. Sorry, Jody.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, minus the married for 23 years part, I mean, my life is Karen's life. I identify so much with her
Yes,
in her,
yes.
just in all things I've experienced in my own personal life, so, yeah.
That's great for not giving anything away. Paul?
Well, I was actually having this conversation with my wife of 30 years about the character, I'm playing who's cheating on his wife of 23 years, and I was telling her,
We won't ask in what context
well, I was
this
saying
discussion
like
occurred.
connection points and inspiration points, and it's like, when we had that fight, it wasn't that big a fight, but and I was starting to hit on and her eyes like this. You have a lot of connection with this guy. I'm get a little concerned. So no, I do like to find experiences I've had in my personal life and use them as navigation points for the character development, and try to kind of release them through and let them let that part speak. And there've been a lot of them actually in the show for me. So yeah, it's.
Do you find that makes it easier for you to remember and memorize your lines?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
no, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm refraining from comment there.
You'll never get your lines down, honey. I'll never get my lines down.
Rehearsing actually helps too, and knowing the ability
I've heard
to
that.
rehearse is good. Yeah. As soon as I get to do that, I'll let you guys know how it all works out.
Sounds good. And coming back to Joe, what are the plans for, future plans for summer and the fall beyond? What's in the works?
There is a lot of things in work, so but we are going to have a meeting at the end of this show with a bunch of our writers and new friends that we've found, and as we look into our fall theme, like we mentioned, we're coming up with a theme and giving people an opportunity to potentially write some skits and shows and trying to get back into that model of original material from people and give actors and writers the chance to bring something they want, a 5 or 10 minutes scene on stage, and they can own that. So let's give people an opportunity. So I won't give away the theme yet, but we're very closely at the point where we're going to make a decision. But want to talk to
Excellent.
more people about it and see what interest we have.
It's very cryptic.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and do you have quite a few writers who are pooling together?
Yeah, and I think it's growing. I think the more people I talk to, either they're writers that they have written stuff before, or writers who would like to try to write something, and convincing them to write a 5 or 10 minute scene is sometimes not twisting their arms. They're excited about doing something
Right.
like that. So we're probably about 4 or 5 people that have been doing it. But like I said earlier, I want more people involved.
Right.
So if you guys are interested in writing a 5 minute, 10 minute
Yeah.
scene about a theme that we're coming in, and you could own the scene, and it would be very interesting. to see.
Sure.
Well, that's one of the things
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed about being part of Ashland Community Theater is we've had some people who have mentioned that they have not wanted to become part of the theater because we haven't done anything. Because this is the first, I guess, nationally known performance play that we have done. And they've said, oh, well, you didn't do anything I knew, so I didn't want to bother trying out. I didn't want to bother coming and checking out. But what I like is I like the concept of having local people write and help direct and act and things like that. It's not just having actors in the people who are acting from the community, but you're basically making it a really big community effort, and it becomes personalized, and that's kind of neat rather than just picking a play off of a list and saying, oh, let's do this one. I mean, nationally known plays are great, and I think it's fabulous to do that, but I like the concept, and I think that's something that's taking a little bit of time to take a hold on with ACT, is that we're really trying to get people to understand that just because it's not written by a Tony-winning playwright, it's still good material,
Right, and I can vouch for that. I've actually seen the miniseries of therapy sessions. It's hilarious.
Oh.
It's as if it was written by a nationally renowned playwright. And you people have lots of time. I mean, you're up memorizing your lines late at night, so there's no problem to just write a few things down, too.
Sure,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Yeah, throw it in the pot. Excellent, good to know. Let's see. So the interesting question that I always wonder about people like you is what draws you to the theater? I know that each of you have had different careers, things that you've done, but what's brought you back to acting?
Well, I'm shy, and I need that. You okay?
Yeah.
I'm a shy person, and I think theater gives me the opportunity to express myself,
Find your inner voice.
find my inner voice, and be on stage.
I don't think Joe has an inner voice.
Never mind an inside voice.
Right.
Is that from an actor standpoint or a director?
Both.
I'll not answer that.
But
Speaking of
I
that.
just think it's enjoyable. I think the people that I've met along the way in the last 2.5 years has been people I never would have met in the roles that I'm doing at work or being part of the soccer program in town. It's a different eclectic group. They're fun, they're exciting, I like what they bring to the table.
Right.
And I think what we're trying to do in the community theater is, as Jody mentioned, is give people that forum to cultivate what they want to do. And I think people have sent me some notes, and I've always wanted to be on stage and able to fulfill that dream of mine. To me, that's an important thing. So I think we're doing it for that reason, or I'm doing it for that reason.
Excellent. Jody?
Well, I've always been interested in theater. I've been known to be a bit of a drama queen at times in my life.
No, you?
I know, right? But I've always enjoyed the creativity of it, meeting people and just being able to be somebody else. Halloween's my favorite holiday, and it's because it gives you an opportunity to be something different than what you are in your normal life, and that's what I think acting does for me. It sort of helps me become somebody else,
Right.
and for just a little while, and just have fun with it.
I was thinking, I had time to think about this.
Yeah,
that's good.
Talking, and I remembered when I was in high school, I was in the show Pippin, and I played the lead player, who was kind of like the circus conductor, ringleader.
Right.
And one of my good friends was playing Pippin, and it was his first time on stage. He was a very good singer, but a novice actor. And I had done, for an 18 to 17-year-old, and I'd been in a number of shows, and curtain's about to go up on opening night, and he got stage fright, and he said, what if they don't like me? What if they don't laugh? What if, this fear? And I said, Mark, if you make one person laugh out there, it's going to be worth it, it's going to be a success. And then reflecting, that was 35 years ago, reflecting back on that, I really life is nasty, cruel, brutish, and short. And life's tough. People work hard, they're tired, and when they go to a show, they get to relax, they get to feel things, they get to laugh, hopefully, and their emotions flow, and you're part of that solution. You're giving them that therapy, that entertainment. And so storytelling does that, and acting does that, directing, any part of it does that, releases those, and makes life a little more enjoyable.
And how often is it that you get to take your own advice from your 17-year-old former self?
Well,
Right?
I was very wise.
I know.
I've gotten dumber over time, but that was kind of the 18.
Chris, you're in the hot seat again.
And it is warm. I would say it's, I'm an economist during the day, and when I tell people that, they frequently fall asleep. And perhaps even note that there's a reason that economics is known as the dismal science.
Oh, there goes Joe and Paul.
Exhibit A.
Sorry.
Is it done?
Are we done?
So doing the, participating in theater gives me a chance to see not only a different side of myself, my creative side, but you tend to meet very different types of people than you would, say, going to a conference presenting the latest cutting research.
Right.
So I think it's good for being a well-rounded person to exercise both sides of your brain.
Right?
Theater people are weird. That's one of the things about it. They're just weird. They're
Speak for
different
yourself.
people. They all are. They just they think different, and some of the most interesting, creative, weird people I've met have been through shows, and they're all open-hearted, and they just love everybody. No matter who they are, where they are, they're the great kind of people, but they are strange.
But I find them supportive mostly. When you're on stage with people
Right.
that you're acting with and learning your lines, you're like, oh my God, I don't know what else to say next. Right? They're supportive. They're there to help you, and they'll work there. No one's looking to be better than the other. They all want it to be successful together.
Right.
And I think that's the one thing I found out about the actors.
And you don't find that in a lot of endeavors.
No, they want you to
compete at
fail.
work, you have to compete on the basketball court or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a real group effort.
Definitely.
Good to know. Wow, this is a lot of interesting inside information.
And we like to talk. Too.
Yeah, I couldn't tell that about you.
Actually.
I know, it's true.
It's a 10-hour show.
Exactly. All right, so I think that about does it, unless anyone wants to add in additionals.
Doesn't.
I believe
doesn't
someone
end
does.
Any-
Wait a second. We have a question for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? Wait a second.
Ms. McCormick.
I don't know if that's allowed. I don't think that's in the contract for the
I
show.
didn't sign anything, but that's okay. Aren't you in the show?
I am indeed.
How did you get roped into that?
Yes, Joe. Joe is very persuasive, and he's got such a charismatic personality that it's difficult.
If understated.
It's difficult to refuse an offer.
Is this your first show with
So
ACT?
this is my first. This is my debut, and I think I appreciate the reverse interview.
Yeah.
'Cause, it's a very open show. But yes, so it's very exciting, and it's really about the people.
And what do you think of your castmates?
I love my castmates. They're amazing.
idiot director.
Very, very talented. Right. And the directions also, we have different directors, and right, and the direction is very good, very on point. And
So this is your first time playing a hussy.
what?
On stage, on stage.
Are we allowed to say that?
I searched my whole vocabulary for a word I thought I could say on
That's
cable
not one of
access.
the
That's
seven-
what I came up
that's
with.
not one of the seven things you
words
can't
say on
tell
cable
us.
access.
It's
You
not one of
kind
those.
enough to interview Katie and I
Right.
last year.
Right.
And
For therapy sessions.
Since then, right?
And that has just been done,
Yeah.
being filmed for
Yes.
the All Flowers production
Yeah.
company.
Yes.
And do you have a date yet for when that's going to
It'll be
air?
coming out in the early summer. We're working on the final
Excellent.
dates, but it'll be out on local cable television in Ashland, but also to our YouTube channel.
Excellent.
And then it'll be out there as well. So
Fabulous.
you
Early
were also
summer
part
this
of
year?
that as well.
That's true. I
This
was.
summer this year.
I filled in.
Yeah, you did.
Which was
You played a wonderful
a lot of
character.
fun.
Yes.
Wow.
You did.
Yes.
Oh.
Excellent. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
very
you
much.
all.
Come see
And
the
we're
show.
Come see the
Looking
show.
forward
June
to
23rd, 24th, 25th.
Yeah,
coming to
and-
see
in
the show.
Ashland, Middle
And one
School.
more time for that website where you can buy tickets.
Yeah, AshlandCommunityTheater.com. AshlandCommunityTheater.com.
Excellent.
All in
All
one.
one word. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
It
Thank
has
you.
been. Rama, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.